The Ashes That Made Trees Bloom. This is a story about an honest and hard-working old couple and their pet dog. The neighbors are troublesome, and the dog dies a sad death. The spirit of the dog gives solace and support to his master in unexpected ways. Before we start to read the passage, let us know the meaning of the word daimyos. In Japan, the word daimyo means wealthy landowners. In the good old days of the daimyos, there lived an old couple whose only pet was a little dog. Having no children, they loved it as though it were a baby. The old dame made it a cushion of blue crepe, and at mealtime, Muku, for that was its name, would sit on it and snug as any cat. The kind people fed the pet with tidbits of fish from their own chopstick and all the boiled rice it wanted. Thus treated, the dumb creature loved its protectors like a being with a soul. In the period of daimyos, there lived an old couple. They had a pet dog but no children, so they loved the dog as their own baby. The old dame made a cushion of blue crepe in which Muku, the dog, would sit on it just like a cat. The kind couple fed the dog with their own chopsticks. The dog loved his protectors. The old man, being a rice farmer, went daily with the hoe or spade into the fields, working hard from morning until O Tento-sama, or sun, had gone down behind the hills. Every day the dog followed him to work, never once harming the white heron that walked in the footsteps of the old man to pick up the worms. For the old fellow was patient and kind to everything that had life, and often turned up a sword on purpose to give food to the birds. The old man was a rice farmer, so he daily went to the field with a hoe or spade. He worked hard from morning until O Tento-sama had gone behind the hills. Here, O Tento-sama means the sun. Every day, the dog also followed the farmer when he went for work. The dog did not harm the white heron that was in the field to pick the worms. The old farmer was kind to everything that had life. He often fed the birds in his field. One day, the dog came running to him, putting his paws against his legs and motioning with his head to some spot behind. The old man at first thought his pet was only playing and did not mind it, but the dog kept on whinnying and running to and fro for some minutes. Then the old man followed the dog a few yards to a place where the animal began a lively scratching. Thinking it was possible a buried bone or bit of fish, the old man struck his hoe in the earth, when lo, a pile of gold gleamed before him. One day the dog put his paws against the old man's leg. He motioned with his head to some spot behind. The old man thought that the dog was just playing and did not mind it, but the dog kept on running to and fro. Then the old man followed the dog a few yards. Suddenly the animal started to scratch the ground. The old man thought it might be a bit of fish and struck his hoe on the place where the dog scratched. To his surprise, a pile of gold gleamed before him. Thus, in an hour, the old couple were made rich. The good souls bought a piece of land, made a feast for their friends, and gave plentifully to their poor neighbors. As for the dog, they petted him till they nearly smothered him with kindness. Now, in the same village, there lived a wicked old man and his wife, not a bit sensitive and kind, who had always kicked and scolded all dogs whenever any passed their house. Hearing of their neighbor's good luck, they coaxed the dog into their garden and set before him bits of fish and other dainties, hoping he would find treasure for them. But the dog, being afraid of the cruel pair, would neither eat nor move. In an hour, the old couple became rich. The couple bought a piece of land, made feasts for their friends, and also helped their neighbors. This showed that the couples were very kind to their neighbors. They also petted the dog. In the same village, there lived a wicked couple who were not so kind. They kicked and scolded the dogs which passed their house. Hearing about their neighbors' good luck, they felt very jealous and persuaded the dog into their garden and gave him bits of fish and other tasty food, so that the dog would find treasure for them. But the dog got scared of the cruel couple and neither ate nor moved. Then they dragged him out of doors, taking a spade and hoe with them. No sooner had the dog got near a pine tree growing in the garden than he began to paw and scratch the ground as if a mighty treasure lay beneath. "Quick, wife, hand me the spade and hoe," cried the greedy old fool, and he danced with joy. Then the covetous old fellow with the spade and the old crone with the hoe began to dig, but there was nothing but a dead kitten, the smell of which made them drop their tools and shut their noses. Furious at the dog, the old man kicked and beat him to death, and the old women finished the work by nearly chopping off his head with the sharp hoe. Then they flung him into the hole and heaped the earth over his carcass. The greedy couple dragged the dog outdoors, taking their spade and hoe. Now the dog went near a pine tree in the garden and started to scratch the ground. The greedy couples thought it might be the treasure and began to dig, but nothing was to be found but a dead kitten. It smelled so bad that the greedy couples shut their noses. They got angry with the dog, so they beat him to death. Finally, they chopped the dog's head with the sharp hoe. Then they dropped him into the hole and covered his dead body with mud. The owner of the dog heard of the death of his pet and, mourning for him as if he had been his own child, went at night under a pine tree. He set up some bamboo tubes in the ground, such as are used before tombs, in which he put fresh flowers. Then he laid a cup of water and a tray of food on the grave and burned several costly sticks of incense. He mourned a great while over his pet, calling him many dear names as if he were alive. That night the spirit of the dog appeared to him in a dream and said, "Cut down the pine tree over my grave and make from it a mortar for your rice pasty and a mill for your bean sauce." The owner of the dog felt very sad when he heard the death of his dog and went near the pine tree where the dog was buried. He set few bamboo tubes in the ground and placed fresh flowers. Then he laid a cup of water and a tray of food on the grave and also buried several costly incense sticks. He mourned for the dog a long time and went home. That night the spirit of the dog appeared in his dream and spoke to him to cut the pine tree which was on his grave. The dog asked him to make a mortar from the pine tree and a mill from its wood for his bean sauce. So the old man chopped down the tree and cut out the middle of the trunk, a section about 2 feet long. With great labor, partly by fire, partly by chisel, he scraped out a hollow place as big as a small bowl. He then made a long-handled hammer of wood such as is used for pounding rice. When New Year time drew near, he wished to make some rice pasty. When the rice was all boiled, Granny put it into the mortar. The old man lifted the hammer to pound the mass into dough, and the blows fell heavy and fast till the pastry was all ready for baking. Suddenly, the whole mass turned into a heap of gold coins. When the old woman took the hand mill and filling it with beans began to grind, the gold dropped like rain. The old man did as he was told. With much labor, he made a small bowl of the wood. Then he made a long-handled hammer of wood. When the new year drew near, he decided to make some rice pasty. They put the boiled rice in the wooden mortar. The old man used the wooden hammer to pound the mass into dough. When the pastry was ready for baking, it turned into a mass of gold coins. The old woman took the hand mill and filled it with bean sauce and began to grind it. The gold dropped like rain. Meanwhile, the envious neighbor peeped in at the window when the boiled beans were being ground. "Goody me!" cried the old hag as she saw each dripping of sauce turning into yellow gold. Until a few minutes, the tub under the mill was full of a shining mass of gold. So the old couple were rich again. The next day, the stingy and wicked neighbor came and borrowed the mortar and magic mill. They filled one with boiled rice and the other with beans. Then the old man began to pound and the women to grind. But at the first blow and turn, the pastry and sauce turned into a foul mass of worms. Still more angry at this, they chopped the mill into pieces to use as firewood. At this moment, the envious neighbor peeped into the window. He decided to borrow the mill. The old couple readily gave their mill to the neighbor. The man began to pound the rice and the women began to grind. However, this time the pastry and the sauce turned into worms. They broke the mill into pieces to use it as firewood. Not long after that, the good old man dreamed again, and the spirit of the dog spoke to him, telling him how the wicked people had burned the mill made from the pine tree. "Take the ashes of the mill, sprinkle them on the withered trees, and they will bloom again," said the dog spirit. The old man woke and went at once to his wicked neighbor's house, where he found the miserable old pair sitting at the edge of the square fireplace in the middle of the floor, smoking and spinning. From time to time they warmed their hands and feet with a blaze from some bits of the mill, while behind them lay a pile of the broken pieces. After a few days, the old man had another dream. The spirit of the dog told him how the wicked couples had burned their mill. The spirit of the dog told the man to take the ashes of the mill and sprinkle the ashes on the withered trees. The spirit also said that after doing so, the trees will bloom. So the old man went to the wicked neighbor's house and found the greedy couple sitting at the edge of the square fireplace, smoking and spinning. They warmed their hands and feet with the blaze. The good old man humbly asked for the ashes, though the covetous couple turned up their noses at him and scolded him as if he were a thief. They let him fill his basket with the ashes. On coming home, the old man took his wife into the garden. It being winter, their favorite cherry tree was bare. He sprinkled a pinch of ashes on it, and lo, it sprouted blossoms until it became a cloud of pink blooms which perfumed the air. The news of this filled the village, and everyone ran out to see the wonder. The covetous couple also heard the story, and gathering up the remaining ashes of the mill, kept them to make withered trees blossom. The good man humbly asked for the ashes. The jealous couple scolded him, and finally the kind man filled his basket with the ashes. The kind man returned home and took his wife and sprinkled a pinch of ashes on their favorite cherry tree. Wow, what a surprise! It bloomed with a cloud of pink flowers, and it perfumed the air. All the villagers came to see the wonder. The greedy couple heard the story and gathered the leftover ashes. They kept them safe to make the withered tree blossom. The kind old man, hearing that his lord, the daimyo, was to pass along the high road near the village, set out to see him, taking his basket of ashes. As the train approached, he climbed up into an old withered cherry tree that stood by the wayside. Now, in the days of the daimyos, it was the custom, when their lord passed by, for all the loyal people to shut up their high windows. They even pasted them fast with a slip of paper, so as not to commit the impertinence of looking down on his lordship. All the people along the road would fall up their hands and knees and remain prostrate until the procession passed by. The kind old man heard about his lord the daimyo, who was about to pass the high road near the village. So he took his basket of ashes and went to see him. Now the procession approached. Soon he climbed up the old withered cherry tree that stood by the wayside. During the period of daimyos, it was a custom. The loyal people shut their windows and also pasted a slip of paper so as to not commit the impertinence of looking down. All the people on the road fell upon their hands and knees and remained prostrate until the procession passed by. The train drew near. One tall, competent man marched ahead, crying out to the people by the way, "Get down on your knees! Get down on your knees!" And everyone kneeled down while the procession was passing. Suddenly, the leader of the van caught sight of the aged man up in the tree. He was about to call out to him in an angry tone, but seeing he was such an old fellow, he pretended not to notice him and passed him by. So, when the daimyo's palanquin drew near, the old man, taking a pinch of ashes from his basket, scattered it over the tree. In a moment, it burst into blossom. As the train approached, he climbed up into an old withered cherry tree. It was against the rule. Yet, seeing an old man, the leader of the van ignored him. As the daimyo's palanquin drew near, the old man sprinkled his ashes. Immediately, the tree burst into blossom. The delighted daimyo ordered the train to be stopped and got out to see the wonder. Calling the old man to him, he thanked him and ordered presents of silk robes, sponge cakes, fans, and other rewards to be given him. He even invited him to his castle. So the old man went gleefully home to share his joy with his dear old wife. But when the greedy neighbor heard of it, he took some of the magic ashes and went out on the highway. There he waited until a daimyo's train came along, and instead of kneeling down like the crowd, he climbed a withered cherry tree. The daimyo felt delighted and stopped the royal van and thanked the kind old man, and also ordered to give him presents like silk robes, sponge cakes, fans, and other rewards. The daimyo also invited the kind old man to his castle. Filled with joy, he went home gleefully to share these moments with his wife. The greedy neighbor heard of the story. He did exactly what the good old man had done. When the daimyo himself was almost directly under him, he threw a handful of ashes over the tree, which did not change a particle. The wind blew the fine dust in the noses and eyes of the daimyo and his wife. Such sneezing and choking, it spoiled all the pomp and dignity of the procession. The man whose business it was to cry, "Get down on your knees," seized the old fool by the collar, dragged him from the tree, and tumbled him and his ash basket into the ditch by the road. Then, beating him soundly, he left him for dead. Thus the wicked old man died in the mud. But the kind friend of the dog dwelt in peace and plenty, and both he and his wife lived to a green old age. However, no flowers were there. The wind blew and the ashes entered the noses and eyes of the daimyo and his wife. Daimyo called him. He was beaten to death. The kind friend of the dog dwelt in peace and plenty. He and his wife lived a green old age.